9016 Radio.
The show for artists of all kinds.
Sit down, relax, enjoy the music.
Okay, Luna, it's your turn.
It does feel good. It does feel good to be back in here because I keep thinking
on the
about
podcast side of it, or on the podcast side of the studio, or just the studio.
yeah, just generally being back here because I'd really, I don't know, just sort of lost that spark, or it wasn't really going in the direction that I wanted it to go in.
What's that? What's the direction?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what the direction is now because, like, it just sort of turned into this thing where I was basically interviewing people, which I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And it's not fun for me. Like, the whole point was to have conversations about anything and everything with people, you know, free-flowing stuff. And it was like, well, I just found myself constantly in the spot where I'm having to, like, constantly think about what to say next and not actually being able to be involved in conversation.
And there are questions there that could be asked.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes they're not there, or, like, I just completely miss it because I'm in this, like, weird spot of trying to just being super aware.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to sort of, it's hard to do these things on purpose because it's it doesn't really work that way naturally, but trying to just have sort of rather than have like a full-on conversation, just sort of have more of an atmospheric feel to it. Still talk, but like somehow relax it a lot more. Because I had a friend that was down a couple of weeks ago, and he came up here for a wee bit to hang out, and he put on this podcast, and it was essentially just like these two guys in a lounge just talking to each other, like not even. You know, imagine if you were just sitting there on your laptop and
it was being
just
recorded.
the odd, you know, it was just the noise of the room and then just like a couple of bits here and there. So it's more of like...
It's like a live stream or something.
Yeah, as opposed to like a full-blown like constant conversation, which is still great, of course, and that's what it will still end up being, but like trying to just relax it a bit more. Because there's also points where like I'll be mid... You know, I'll be finishing a point off, or someone will be finished answering a question, and sometimes I just freeze, and just sort of go, and then I'm like stressing because I have to say something next. So I want to try and eliminate that. And like even as I'm talking to you now, like I'm not even breathing properly. Like it's just, I haven't done this for so long now. That just feels weird. It's fucking weird, man. Like in any context, it's just weird. It's a weird thing to. I've said this to so many people that ask me about doing this because it's so weird how. You know, when you're forced into this situation, like I've actually surprised myself as to how well I've actually been able to sort of keep things going, which is cool, but it's still also, you know, trying to keep it natural. That's what I think was getting me stressed. It was like, I want this to sound as natural as possible, but if I'm trying to achieve that, then it's not going to happen.
No, because you're thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's handy having people on, you know, when it does, turn into like the interview thing. It's good because typically that person is going to be someone that does something, whether it's art or music or creates anything in any way. So you've always got sort of a point to come back to. Whereas like if you just have Joe Bloggs on, not to say that, you know, anyone here has been a Joe Bloggs, but like there's less sort of topic, I suppose, or like the fallback conversation side of it just sort of is eliminated, so you end up in this sort of weird spectrum. But yeah, like typically we are just with the art of conversation is just a weird one that I don't think anyone has really mastered.
Getting past small talk is impossible for me.
It is.
It's just the fundamental. I've like recently learnt the fundamentals. Hey, how are you?
It's weird to think because I think a lot of us, we're always in our shells socially, and in any given interaction when you see someone and it's a spontaneous, you know, you see them out of the blue, there's always sort of either a reaction to avoid that person or immediately go straight up to them without any sort of, you know, that's your reaction is to engage as opposed to avoid. And in those moments, like you do lose track of what to say, and it can actually end up being such a surreal experience where you end up looking at yourself sort of in the third person in a way. You sort of see it from outside, and like so weird to to say afterwards, oh, I should have said this or should have said that, because the fact that you're engaging at all like completely takes away from your normal self, which is weird. But it is such a nerve-wracking thing, and there's so many occasions where like you'll see someone, especially in Dunedin, like you see someone you know and you don't know whether it's like a stop and chat or whether it's like a walk
How
past and
long
nod,
is it?
you know?
Yeah.
How long am I supposed to stay here for and talk to this person? Like, how close are we? And there's been times where I've just gone, actually, it's just well, the opposite, just being like, I actually don't feel like stopping and talking to this person, so I just go, hey, and walk past, and you can tell sometimes people will linger and go, oh, turn the head and stay there, and you're already gone. It's fucking weird. We are strange.
I just hit the pause. Like I'll get a few words in, and then I'm like, oh shit, where does it go? And then I end up saying something that's kind of just like relevant, but not.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the hardest parts about the small talk is the ender.
Yeah,
because you can feel it coming. You feel this like, okay, we're running out of things to say here. Like, you're here to do this, I'm here to do that, and it's like, if you were to like do a survey or like a study on those little small talk engagements, you'd probably find that most of them end up in a, well, I better get going, or let's get back to it, because that's the only way to really end it. Yeah, exactly. And it's not always good to see someone, because I've met so many people that just straight up avoid those interactions because like are very stern at just about, you know, their mental health and like the mood that they're in at that time. Yeah. And will just like knowingly avoid people just for the sake of themselves, which I think is good, but also like,
it's good to make yourself uncomfortable too.
It's good to be selfish. Yeah, it definitely is. And I think that's what helps the most. And I think it also helps to be in a constant environment where you, you're sort of prepping yourself for conversation, or you know that you're going to be having interactions with people for an extended period of time. Yeah. And for me, that's my job. Yeah. Like, my job is to literally be the person that people come to talk to about something. Yeah. And so through that, you sort of develop a sort of a lackadaisical approach to that, where you know full well what you're in for. Yeah. And you sort of just, you know, you're not going, oh my God, here comes such and such. It's like, I'm here to do this, and it sort of just eliminates that. So I feel like socially I'm actually better than I probably think I am. I know I'm better than I think.
With people you don't know too, though.
Yeah. And I think it's actually easier to interact with people you don't know a lot of the time, as weird as that sounds, because meeting new people is obviously extremely daunting for a lot of people, and what causes a lot of anxiety with conversation and stuff. But like, sometimes having no information is like the best way to actually have a conversation. Because like, there's been times where me and my best mate Liam have just been standing there and had nothing to say to each other.
But it's like, fine.
I've known him for the longest, and we're just
I do that with
like, what's going on? You know?
I think me and Tano drove back from Queenstown one time and didn't talk to each other once. And it was like so great because we didn't have to.
Yeah. And that's
put a podcast on or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that shows like your level of friendship with that person too. Yeah. To be able to like sit there and talk about nothing, because you know
it's not uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're already past the point of small talk. Yeah. Like, it's never really
and
ever
like
small
me and
talk
him in
with
the
that
car
person.
has just happened so many times. Like, I used to pick him up for school.
Yeah.
And we probably wouldn't talk to each other, but it's just like, I don't know, this is not weird.
And rather than try and force something, just be in the moment. But it's even weird, like, to even just talk about this, just to like make yourself aware of these things. And I never know if, because I talk about social interactions so often that I feel like, am I actually detrimenting my social capability by talking about every single little interaction I have with people constantly? Or is it, should I just sort of let things be what they are, you know? Like, to be able to look at that situation and go, this happens because of this, and it's okay. Do you then put yourself like in a weird position when you enter that situation again and go like, oh, you're sort of too conscious of what's happening, you know?
Well, looking at it from both sides, like seeing the positive side of it and the negative side of it, and then not letting either of those determine like your feeling on it. I think that's probably the best. Like, not if you think that it was negative, then the next one that you have is going to be negative.
Yeah,
so,
for
I don't
sure.
know, if you're aware, then seeing both sides of it and not picking one. Yeah. Moving forward. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome to be aware of things, but it's like the emotion that you choose that like could mess it up, or you know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. And I suppose like the only way to really evaluate that or how to seriously assess if that works is by being in that situation multiple times.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and looking at it multiple ways to be able to assess it that way. Because then if you look at something negatively or perceive an interaction or scenario to be awkward, then you're right. Like next time it's probably going to happen again. But then it's probably only through like fate, I guess, that you would have an interaction that is positive that you could then reassess something based off what happened there. You know, I love talking about social things because we are doing it constantly, and it's so funny to be able to look at something and say, I saw such and such. And like I've had so many conversations with Storm, my friend Storm, about sorry, our friend Storm. Just for the people listening, that we're talking about just like a typical scenario or situational conversation that you would have with someone that sort of just becomes ironic. And I think talking about that does help, because when you can create a humorous aspect to that, then the next time you go into it, you sort of are either looking at it ironically, or you sort of like I was saying before, you take yourself outside of that interaction, sort of looking at it from a different, like as if you weren't there, or from a third person. I don't know how to explain that, but then you can sort of laugh at it, and you sort of lose that anxiety around it.
Well, it probably wasn't as bad as you thought it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
I don't know, if you thought it was really great, it's still good to think of ways that, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that great, or I don't know.
Definitely. And like the one of the things I hear the most about like people with social anxiety is just that like they'll constantly analyze everything that happened and put themselves in a super negative light, because what just happened was all due to them, and all this attention was on them when it really wasn't. And I know the answer is not to just change your mindset, because it's just how people work. But if you can look at something ironically or just laugh at it afterwards, I think that's going to help you in the future, because you do just eliminate all this like preconceived ideas about, because the reality is like one thing that helped me was just being able to, I lost my train of thought. Like being able to, just laugh at things.
I've gotten better at it, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like if you are happier, then you're not going to think negatively. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
I might have been like, hi, or something.
Yeah.
And
I think if you care less about, well, that sort of sounds
more comfortable with myself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's definitely something that I think has improved for me recently, because there's been a few times when I'm out in the last couple of years where I've like approached people on my own, which I never used to do. And I think that is just due to being in like just a good place mentally, and just what I'm doing in my day to day just generally helps you everywhere. And you could probably look at most people that say they have issues in that regard that aren't completely there or happy, you know. But it's sort of a slippery slope, because I mean, if that's the thing that's making you sad, then you're never gonna sort of get past it, you know. But I think throwing yourself into social situations can actually be super therapeutic. It's like, because you know that the other ironic side of that is just, if you just, you know, it's like saying you want to go to the gym, or like, I should go for a run today. Like the only way that that's going to happen is if you just do it.
Yeah.
So if you're socially like, I'm really scared of going out tonight because I have to interact with people, the best way to just get past it is just go out and just talk to people. And I've done that a couple of times, just like, and I think it's so silly how, especially I see it a lot in Dunedin. Not that I've really like been anywhere else to be able to compare, but there's a lot of like, I don't know what the word is, but you'll see people that you know, or you'll see people that you haven't met but you know each other. And another weird thing about our generation is
social media.
We follow people.
You don't know someone, but
you follow each other, but you've never actually met them before, and you see them and you go, I know who you are, but you never talk to each other. I think that's so silly, and especially when it's people that you do know, and people will just sort of straight up ignore you, or, you know, don't come in close enough proximity to authorize an engagement. And it's sort of like, why do we do that? Why do we avoid each other when it's just so easy to just say
Hi.
like hi.
Yeah.
But that being said, like up until very recently, like I used to hate that when people would come up to me just randomly, be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I could never understand someone's reasoning for that, which sounds ridiculous. But of course, like we know each other, like we have every right to talk to each other and every reason, I should say,
It's nice
to talk to each
say
other.
hi.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't always look at it that way because you sort of have this immediate anxiety around like, oh, I have to make a conversation with this person now, even though I know them. Like I'm struggling to sort of feel comfortable in this scenario because I still struggle with even just talking about myself. Like if someone just comes up to me and says, "What have you been up to?" I'm like, like I don't know how to say it, or if I do say it, it's not in an exciting way to.
I can't even remember sometimes
anything.
what I've been doing, what I've been saying recently. Just the usual. I think I might have said that to you when I came up the stairs.
Yeah. It's the same old shit. I think that's actually one of the worst questions. I hate, like we default to it. It's there. It's always there. What have you been doing? I haven't seen you for a while. What has happened in the time elapsed between the last time I saw you?
Go through every single thing.
Exactly, which is ridiculous. And no one actually really wants to hear that. Like you just want to hear something like positive, you know?
Like a how are you is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
What have you been up to? Oh, just, working. Sweet. Like no one wants to hear that. Like I feel like you always have to constantly have something like good going on. And I've been stuck in so many scenarios where like I'll get that question, what have you been up to? And I'll just immediately go, oh, not much.
Yeah.
Or just give a real tedious answer. And then I start to assess like what I've actually been up to.
Yeah.
And then just get stuck talking more about my nothingness because I'm not engaging that other person. Oh, just being around home and just trying to get to the studio and going to work and then I just find myself in these places and I'm babble and it's like, fuck's sake. Like, I think it's good to try and avoid saying what you've actually been up to and just say what you're planning on. I've been doing that recently rather than if someone says to you, what have you been up to, rather than saying just been at work or just been at uni or just been working on this or this, just say, oh, I'm planning such and such coming
That's
up.
a great thing too, because you kind of saying things into existence.
Exactly.
Like you're reaffirming them by saying it out loud too.
Yeah. For the last couple of weeks when people have asked me what I've been up to, I just say I've been planning a holiday.
Have you? Where are you going?
Well, no, I have, yeah. I don't know. But I'm planning on taking a holiday. Yeah. I'm thinking of just taking a trip up to Wellington.
Do it.
And then go up to Auckland.
Yeah.
And then maybe
hit that North Island.
Yeah, definitely. Just to see what the fuck it's all about because that's all that seems to ever come into conversation in this music and art community here. So there's bigger and better things out there. And I'm sure there are, but
it's nice to go to those places every so often. That's
definitely.
what I enjoy playing the show.
And that's why you take a holiday, right? To get away for a bit. Yeah. So I think I just sort of owe it to myself as well, just to take some time away from work, because I never take holidays. And I've just got all this leave there. Why not go away for a bit? And I got friends in both cities, so just couch surf for a bit, which would be cool.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Sick.
Which would be so ideal because then you don't have to pay for accommodation or anything. But I have just spent my entire savings on this new computer, so I do have to sort of build back up a bit. But yeah, I don't know. It just be good to just get out of Dunedin for a bit, because I think I've sort of succumbed to this mindset that Dunedin's all I need. Why would I need to be anywhere else? Like, I don't know if you can relate to that, because you're pretty much a Dunedin.
I see it in my parents.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wonder, like, wow, you haven't been really anywhere.
Yeah.
And you're pretty complacent
in
Dunedin, and that's awesome. But I think it's really important mentally just to go to a different place.
Definitely. Like, I definitely side with, people that want to stay here and do what they do here and think they've got everything they need here. I think that's great, because Dunedin is fantastic. You can make it what you want it. But yeah, if you never see what else is out there, and that's something else I realized recently, and just why I'm talking about going on holidays and traveling, because I understand traveling now. Like, I never used to, never thought, like, I'm not, like, it'd be cool to go see the world, but I was never itching to do it. It's never like, I have to go and see Europe or
I feel like
whatever.
I've had the same thought pretty recently too.
But it's that exact point. Like, if you see what else is there, then you can sort of reassess your home situation, and figure out what's missing or what there could be, or, what's out there.
I think it's because we weren't allowed to travel.
Yeah.
That's pretty random.
Definitely.
Like getting told
stay in the country
Yeah,
for a year.
so-
yeah.
Going somewhere like subconsciously is a little bit exciting right now.
Definitely.
So yeah, I've been I don't know, I want to go to see London or something.
Be sick. I would love to go to
I feel like it'd be a
UK.
good place to because I haven't travelled that much. Going over there would be safe. Well,
It's just
not
a
unlike
whole
the
different-
way of safe, but it wouldn't be a massive change as to where we are here. So it'd be easy to navigate.
I think Britain's a good one because a lot of our culture is very similar, just
Yeah.
in terms of like the food we
Yeah,
eat
that's
and
kind of what I was
just
saying.
our mannerisms and that sort of thing. Like it would be an easy move over there, and it's also gorgeous. Like London just looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like just the architecture there is so sick. And like the one thing that I just want to do, like if I go traveling, is just go walking. I just want to go walk through these massive cities and just see all the buildings and just the culture that's happening. But I think more importantly, like more than anything, like number one, I should just do it. That's my main reason. Like, why not? Be fun.
Yeah.
I know it would be fun. My brain tells me like, hey, you don't need to do this, but it would be good. Once I am up there and doing it, I'd be like, sweet, this is liberating. I know I will love it. But number two, just like I may just get a new perspective on Dunedin, you know,
I'd say so.
just really see like, because the only times I've actually been to Wellington or Auckland haven't been sort of within my own criteria, I guess. Like it's always been like the last time I was in Auckland was for the Young Lean concert,
Fantastic.
which was amazing.
Yeah.
But that was really all I was there for. Just
How
sort of-
long were you there for?
I'm pretty sure it was just the night. Like went up on the day it was on, went there that night, crashed at a friend's place, and then came home the next day. I'm pretty sure. And that wasn't really doing Auckland. That was just going there for the night. So like sort of in a capacity where there's people my age doing something that I'm doing, but not enough time to really see what's going on in Auckland. And then the same for Wellington. Like I can't even honestly remember the last time I was in Wellington. It would have been some family thing and would have just walked around shopping with mum or something. Like I wasn't really doing Wellington, you know. So I've never been able to actually say, oh yeah, Wellington's like this, Wellington's like that. Because I
I'd
don't.
never been there until like 3 years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I had actually been either, to be honest.
Nah.
Like maybe once
I
when I was real young.
Went to Auckland when I was 18 for the first time.
True.
I hadn't been anywhere.
Auckland's a scary one if you've only ever seen Dunedin.
Yeah.
Like going from Dunedin to Auckland, even just being on the motorway and just looking at the city, you're like,
Massive.
"Fuck, this is a city. Like Dunedin city's nothing really. Like
Going there on
it's nothing to
Saturday,
gawk at.
actually. Going
On
up to
Auckland.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Recording? Performing?
Doing guitar solos for Wax Mustang.
Sick. That's so sick. Had he asked you to do that?
Yeah, he asked
That's
me
so
a while
cool.
back.
Fuck yeah.
I was like, actually, yeah, sure.
Well, it's only fair. Like you made most of the beats.
Oh,
right?
it's just, yeah, and that's fun.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
there's a bit of stuff that I can do up there during the day and stuff as well. So
Yeah, hard out.
it's a bit of a double whammy.
How long are you staying for?
Saturday till Monday.
Sick. That's a good little stay.
Yeah.
Just like sort of long weekend. Yeah, sick. That's so cool. I just need to see what it's about. And I think that like, I don't know, it'd be so interesting just to see the type of people there are comparatively to here and also sort of what majorities there are,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like whether there's more of like a university culture or whether there's more of like a
It is,
an
but
art
you've got to
culture.
go to the place where it is.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
not sprawled out like
That's
it is
true.
here.
I just walk down the street and
Yeah.
there's that group and that group.
You'll go to well, I guess there's the university area
Yeah,
in
sure.
Dunedin, but all through George Street in town, you can see students everywhere or whatever. But I know up there it's probably more in one slice of it in a way
Yeah, that makes sense.
because it's just so big.
Yeah, so densely populated. That was one of the big differences, you notice straight away. It's just like, fuck this.
But it's not even that big compared to,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
overseas.
Well, when you look at the map
Yeah.
of Auckland,
I went to Sydney and I was like, what the heck?
it's fucked. Yeah, it's actually, and just seeing like following people on Instagram that like live in New York and LA and
Yeah.
stuff like that's just a whole nother thing altogether.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
not
New
even
Zealand
comparable
in one city.
Exactly. It's so crazy to think about how much people live in like Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's millions.
People everywhere all trying to do like the
3
same
times
shit
the
as
time,
well.
like size of New Zealand. I think.
Fucked. Like it'd just be so surreal that just to just to be in that, around that amount of people at one time would just be so bizarre. Not that I haven't really experienced that before, but just constantly, I don't know, it'd just be such a lifestyle change.
Yeah, I was talking to Hunter about it because he's been to LA. He was like, if you don't know where you're going, then you're kind of like just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because it's just massive.
Dude,
so
I
if
can't
you
even
don't have a purpose, it's kind of
hard out.
super overwhelming and strange.
Because there'll be so many places of the thing that you want to do, you know, like if you want to go to a gig, like you could probably walk down the street and there'll be like 10 of them in the one block sort of thing. You'd just be overwhelmed with choice for things, which is so weird. Whereas here we know where the spots are and they're not far away and it's easy to get to, and that's one of the beautiful things about a small city. But
if you're looking for something to do and there's nothing on there, then that's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah,
like
that's
imagine
true.
like you'd be over there and you'd be like, oh, I wonder what's on tonight. And you check and there'd just be so much.
Yeah, fuck, that's so true.
But if you're that kind of person that wants to be out and about all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I don't know, I think it would just be obviously a completely different lifestyle, but it would be quite a dramatic change. I think it would end up being like, it doesn't seem like it's that much different, but I think the way that you, like, especially if you have to like commute to work and that sort of thing, like to have to go across town during the day is such a weird thing to do. Like, I think so lucky here to be able to just
tell you what, traffic here is a little bit crazy at the moment. I don't know if you've been on Portsmouth Drive at 8:30 in the morning.
I have not. No.
Outrageous.
But that's always crap, man.
I feel like in the last couple of years it's gotten,
better.
But out of control.
Oh, really? Interesting. I never go down Portsmouth Drive now. But
it's like an extra 5 minutes to the trip.
Yeah.
So
but still,
I'm like,
it's
whoa.
very rare to be stopped.
I'm stopped on the bridge most mornings.
Yeah, that is weird.
Hill starts.
Fuck. Yeah, I'm trying not to drive too much.
Yeah.
And
we use Central.
Yeah, and my route to work is pretty like beeline. It's just hop on the one way, done. But I used to have to come down Portsmouth Drive on the way to work, and do remember it being pretty bad at some points. And I got called up there a couple of weeks ago. I had to sort of do a detour because I couldn't take my normal route and ended up getting stuck on Portsmouth Edge. And I was like, oh, this is kind of like rare though. I don't feel like it's always this populated. But I think our traffic is sort of just getting a bit, I don't know what actually would be affecting it, but I feel like this whole hospital thing is going to be a bit of a...
It's not bad that there might be more people here.
Yeah, that's
great.
True. That's true. Know? Definitely.
Like, doesn't bother me at all that there's traffic. It's just a bit like, wow.
It is bizarre.
It's here.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've seen a lot of people that are wanting to move here, and a lot of people that have moved here that we've met, and you know, there's reason for moving here, and I do encourage that. But
you just hope they have a great experience.
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
But the problem with Dunedin is like you have to really plan, or like you have to know what you're doing, because I feel like if you go and visit Wellington, you don't even have to really ask people.
Things are just happening without
you know, you can just
trying.
sort of walk around and find something to do or somewhere to go. Whereas Dunedin, it's like constantly find people saying, where are the good spots to go? Like what's to do? What's on tonight? Yeah. It could be a Saturday night when just nothing worthwhile is on. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Like this last weekend was kind of like that. I was keen to do something and sort of didn't really have my pick of the litter at all.
Yeah.
So I had to like subject myself to something that was on because I just wanted to do something.
That's good though.
So that kind of sucks. Well, I mean, I guess
you can't
good
always
because
get what you want too.
That's true. That's true. Yes, I would hate to think that there was too much sort of privilege in what you were able to do all the time.
Yeah. That's good.
And I guess you get sort of different experiences through that.
Yeah.
You can't, not every night can
you could find something new that was...
That's true. That's true. In this case, it was not that, but still went out and, you know, it was a laugh, you know, it's like what we were talking about before with social interactions, just looking at things ironically and just sort of like the music's shit, but you dance along anyway.
Where am I kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Just like, fuck it, I'm here, like, let's go, you know, rather than sulking about it. Because I feel like that's a lot of what happens in Dunedin too. It's just sort of just the same shit that's on all the time, and it just sort of...
a variation of something that's happened. Yeah,
exactly. Where do you think like we sit in the music scene like compared to the rest of the country? Because I feel like Dunedin has always had this like, there's this Dunedin sound and sort of like we're our own little sort of bubble in a way compared to what happens sort of up north. Like, and you're sort of back and forth and doing recording the things like where do you see sort of us sitting, or like how
I'm
would
not
you
quite
see?
sure at the moment, eh?
Yeah.
But I don't know, that might just be me getting older.
Because I feel like it is sort of picking up.
It's
don't
always,
know.
there's always like new bands and new musicians,
Yeah.
and it's always great and it might not be what was previously happening a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
but it's still, you know, people doing anything because they want to do it is great from the get-go.
Mm.
But I think there's not so much of a play for the uni crowd thing happening in a band sense.
Right. No one's playing for that.
No, well, I just don't think people really are that. And like, it's maybe DJs are kind of like house parties, like flat parties that you'd go to for years would never have a PA or DJ.
Right.
It'd be every 1 in 5 that would have a DJ and a PA set up.
Mm.
And it feels like every party now has someone they know that DJs and a
Right.
speaker set up. And that's just gotten more and more like accessible for people. So that's brought in a bit of a DJ culture, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's sick.
But people that are coming here maybe for their first year or second year are more inclined to think that that's what you should be doing. Or
Right.
they're
Right.
heading that way rather than to a venue to see a band.
That's interesting. I definitely notice a surge in like DJs.
Yeah.
I feel like every maintenance dog like DJs
Yeah.
now, which is sick, like you say, but
Yeah.
also like
It's just like learning a skill. It's like
yeah,
learning how to use a DAW, like
Yeah.
a software, or learning how to use
Yeah.
Photoshop,
Yeah.
learning how to use some decks.
yeah. I don't
And I think when you stand out is just your selection of songs
That's
that
true.
you are playing in front of people.
I've never really thought that like a lot of gigs that were put on sort of independently were sort of appealing to a university crowd. I feel like everything that most people at uni want to go to end up being something that's either organised by the OUSA or
Yeah.
is organised through even just like, I don't even know what else. So you can sort of tell when there's like a gig and where there's like an event, I guess,
Yeah.
or like a concert in a way that's put on to appeal for that. Like you look at something that comes on around O Week, that's not really like a gig. Like that is appealing to uni people. They're getting acts here to like perform to a certain crowd. But I think through what's happening through this DJ culture and these gigs and things, like it's becoming trendy. Like I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of what is sort of already happening, say in Wellington, which I don't know for sure because I don't actually know. I presume that's what's happening. Is sort of like coming into light here. Like people are sort of
It's probably where they're coming from too,
yeah, exactly.
to study.
Yeah, that's true because we have a lot of out of towners as well. But I think just music taste in general through
Everything
university
popular is
culture.
electronic at the moment.
Yeah.
Anything you hear on the radio is
Drum and
electronic.
bass, house.
There's not many bands,
yeah,
maybe a few. 660, I think there was a few, but even that's electronic, you know.
Yeah.
If you're listening to ZM
Yeah.
and you're a young
the
person,
newer stuff.
you're not really hearing a couple guitars and some drums.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just
hearing
the
some
way it's-
loop and
the way it's changed.
yeah,
which is awesome.
definitely.
But
Yeah.
the listener is different.
So I guess my question then becomes: is there like a Dunedin sound anymore, or are we just sort of like
Well, I feel it's just constant. If anyone's making something in Dunedin, then it's the Dunedin sound because you hear making it.
yeah? But what
There's
is
I don't know.
what is the Dunedin sound? Is it just that? Is it just a term for creative?
I don't really know.
people?
I think in the 80s there was a sound, like when it first started.
Because I definitely feel like I don't know if this is just me and my sort of inattentiveness to the style of music that is typically played at a gig. Because I haven't always been the guy that has been into the type of music that
Yeah.
is played at gigs, and a lot of it to me just sort of becomes this sort of singular style, and regardless of what the music is like, to me it's all just becomes instruments. It's all just guitar and drums and singing. So
Surely you
I'm
can-
no music nerd, so
You can
a lot of me is
differentiate
definitely okay. I can
guitars,
but-
different guitar sounds
for sure,
and stuff.
for sure. But it still has the same feel to me in terms of like a performance.
Well, everything's so loud at a gig too that you
Yeah.
can't even like fucking.
Yeah, that's the one thing
sometimes.
I never like. There was a wee streak there where I just wasn't going to gigs. I was just like, I don't like them.
Yeah.
I'm there, and I can't actually like. I would much rather just like lie down on the couch and put headphones in and listen to that band. You know, sort of take it in how they would want it to be. I was never much for the atmosphere of what was going on, but I still always felt there was quote unquote the Dunedin sound amongst most of the gigs that I went to. Like there was similarities between bands that was hard for me to differentiate at some points. Like as a sort of a whole, it did sort of seem very similar. And only recently have I been able to sort of start picking out bands that I really like and seeing what's different. So I don't know. I think that's just me sort of entering this scene of music, because prior to like going to gigs and like meeting you and like watching you go and play, like my only sort of music.
What do I sound like? I have no idea what I sound like. I've never watched myself
I couldn't even
live.
break that down for you. Like I'm not the guy to ask.
Do I sound
that
like
question,
any other bands that you've heard?
Definitely not. You definitely have like a voice that stands out.
And I've got
the
that.
rest.
I don't know how happy I am about that.
Well, I mean, like it's unique, you know, to be able to pick someone out of like a group because of a certain feature. I think is a good thing.
I've never had any. I might have, but not that I can remember any people telling me to stop. But I tell myself to stop all the time. I'm like, what? This voice is just out. This is crazy. But when I think about it, anytime that I've played live, I've had more people go like, oh, that was so fun, thank you, than like, man, are you sure that you should be singing in front of people right now?
Well, that's the sucky thing about gigs too, man, is I think there's not a lot of honesty in that realm.
Yeah.
Because who the hell's going to come up to you and say, bro, you shouldn't sing, man, that sucks.
Yeah. I feel like it would be older people that would.
Definitely. A lot more brutal honesty.
Yeah.
Like, I personally couldn't do that.
No.
I would never say that to you, I don't think. Like, I would want to be that person that sort of like gave you honesty if there's something they needed to change.
I've probably learned how to handle it better too, as we were saying before, like not over-analysing. Like,
definitely. There's never ever been a performance of yours where I've gone, oh, Damin, you didn't quite hit that note or something.
Sick.
Like it's all there. Well, the helpful thing in your situation is that you know music and you know keys and
I've got auto-tune pedal too.
And it yeah, well, true. But I
don't think that
where
does
you're supposed to
anything
be.
that compliment. I've been thinking about it recently. Like when I turn it off, I can definitely, I'm like, whoa. And when I put it on, it does a weird thing to the voice that I don't necessarily like, but it's just such a confidence thing that...
Yeah. And also just helps you bring your voice back into something, even if it's just for a second.
Yeah.
Like the times that I've tried to use auto-tune, I've had to like I've sort of started a note, but then I've been like, I could hear myself, oh, that is wrong, and be able to change it. But to do that live, I guess is sort of
it's hardly even, it's not really, like when I first started, it would have been like, but it's way down now.
Yeah.
And
I think some of your newer
really
stuff
tell.
is sounding like that's where your voice is supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I've been trying to figure out.
A bit more, ooh.
Yeah. Actually, try and record good what I feel are better vocals. Like, I'm confident with my take. Like, previously, I'd just hope for the best, hit record, hope for the best, try and mix the shit out of it.
Yeah.
To figure, like, without trying to get a good vocal take, I'd be like, I can just affect this in a way.
Right.
I can EQ some shit out of it, or I can, but that's just impossible. If you don't get a good vocal take, then it's just everything else you add to it's going to,
Exactly. First
it's not really going to do anything.
Yeah.
So there's a bit more of a focus on trying to deliver a good vocal take, and then everything after that becoming easier in the mixing stage.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. And that's just part of growing, I guess, as a musician,
trying
as a
to get
person.
better
like
at things.
at the time, like when you were explaining to me what you were doing to your vocals, like when we lived together, I was like, oh, sick! Like, you don't even have to sing; you can just do this and this, and it was cool. And I don't think there's anything to sort of regret there. Not that you're saying you do, but like that just concept as a whole was sick because you sort of invite more people sort of into a sphere that was perhaps yet unobtainable. And I think auto-tune is a big tool that's done that for a lot of people, is to be able to go, oh, cool, I can try music now because something makes me sing.
It'll lift you up enough to start.
Yeah, exactly.
And give you the confidence to figure out how to make it better without needing it. Which is what it, like, I've never sung until I was like, I'd never recorded myself until I was 20. I'd sit in my hallway at home and sing acoustic songs because it was kind of reverby when I was like 17 or 18, trying to figure out some songs. That was all I had done, and I'd never sung in front of anybody. Wow. And then I was doing like Tane stuff, like recording some stuff, and I was like, oh, I've kind of learned how to make beats. And then I put guitar on a beat one day, and I was like, oh, I play guitar.
I forget I have this skill.
Oh, maybe I could. And then I just did what I would do to his voice to my voice.
Right.
Put some auto-tune on it or whatever.
Sick.
And then I started doing the music, Jack Berry music stuff.
Crazy. So through helping others, you started.
I was
yourself.
like, oh, I could do this for myself,
Hard out.
and this could be fun.
I reckon that's so cool because you don't really realize
I kind of fell
your
into it.
potential until
I
like
hadn't-
I
don't even. I think I've gotten over it a wee bit. I was still like, what am I trying to do?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't my goal for the longest time was to be a producer. Like I love Rick Rubin.
Yeah,
I wanted to somehow figure out how to lift other people's stuff up and make sick beats. And then I'd always been in bands, so I started doing. When I made the stuff for myself, I was like, I could play this live with a band, and that'd be fun. And that's kind of what it was, more than me recording stuff for a while. And now I've kind of come full circle, and I'm like, I want to be an artist and figure out how to write a really good song and a project.
Definitely.
Like just the concept of making a good body of work in music, or my idea of a good body of work, I think would be just an awesome achievement to tick off.
Absolutely. And like you're always going to end up making better beats for yourself, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, I was talking to Riley the other day because we've had this plan to make, Justin Timberlake's first album, Justified, with all of the bangers on it.
Yeah.
Me and him have had this plan for like 4 years to make some Justified type beats for him to sing
singing.
on. Yeah.
I can't remember. That was the goal.
Beautiful voice.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
What the hell?
So I was like, I went home the other night with the intention of making something for Riley. Got the kiwi out, and I was like, dun, dun. And I was like, no way, I'm keeping this beat. And then I like,
you do though, because you do. You
Yeah.
want it. You. Everyone's selfish in that regard. Like if you make something that's like the hottest shit you've ever made.
But now I'm in a bit of a
pick.
pickle because I'm trying to like write a pop song over top of this more pop leaning beat.
Yeah, right.
But if I pull it off, I reckon it could be quite great.
Hard out.
So I'm like, for the last couple of weeks, I'm trying to finish this song that's a bit more out of my comfort zone than it is the normal stuff that I'd be doing, because it's a beat, not like a guitar. Everything I do is a beat because I produce it like a beat, but there's probably more of a indie guitar vibe to it.
Right.
But this is like looping, like a 8 bar acoustic looping for the whole thing. And I've been trying to figure out how to do. It's kind of more like making a wax beat than it is doing something for myself. But that's previously I would have been like, nah, stuff that, and then I'll try and make something else. But I'm like, if I get this, I genuinely think that it could be a good song.
Yeah, right.
So I've been like sticking to it a bit more, and I've got barsiety. I can't write any bars.
True.
Like-
You've always been good at that though.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm good. I can say gibberish into a microphone and find melodies pretty easily over top of anything that I make. But actually turning that into words and then words that say something,
It is. Yeah.
it's impossible.
Yeah.
All of my songs are just like, I'll have one line that makes sense, and the rest of it's just me like,
Working around that.
I had a melody and I was like, I'll just put this, or I don't know, I've got, like, I say right, and I said all these words because that's the way I phrased it when I was demo recording
Right.
it.
Right.
So it's a bit of a like trap, but
It's hard to really put something together that is cohesive though.
yeah, I
'Cause
just
if
want to like be able to people like the beat might be awesome, but I want them to take away what I was putting out there
Yeah. Right.
in like a word way.
Yeah.
Like that's the next goal for me, is to figure out how to write a meaningful collection of words
Yeah.
that people relate to in that sense.
I feel like you almost have to be coming from a certain place to be able to put that story into action, because like it really is. If you look a lot of like hip hop music, a lot of influence in your music and where you've sort of started off or came from has been based off hip hop music. So
Yeah, in a
your
weird way,
approach
yeah.
somehow was probably related to that. And you listen to a lot of rap songs.
I always
It's not-
listen to more like
It's not
guitar
always
music, though.
like
Yeah.
for sure. But like you listen to like a hip hop song, and sometimes the
There's
verses,
one idea there,
and
they're
there's
not
just
really-
4 different subjects in the one
Yeah.
verse. Like they're not talking
Yeah.
about a story. They're just saying, "I got money, I got cars,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got
All these days, yeah.
yeah." So I don't think there's anything wrong with having random lyrics in there, because at the end of the day, when people are listening, like I know personally, I'm not listening to the lyrics initially. Like,
I've met so many
unless
people
they're
that do
in my face.
though, like recent, like because I'd never realized that I'd just been listening to kicks and snares for like the majority of my life. Like you'd be like, "Oh, damn, that knocks."
Yeah,
that's enough for me. I'll just happily like nod along to it until the song finishes. But even like there's people and they're dissecting the lyrics, and I was like, I don't even do like. Maybe I should be thinking more about what it's actually saying, because that's like such a big part of the song.
Yeah, but it depends how you sort of orchestrate it all, you know, because you can have a song that is deliberately trying to put forward an instrumentation as opposed to a vocal part of it, you know, by sort of drowning it out. Like you listen to, you know, like screamo music. Yeah, you don't necessarily know what they're saying. It's just sort of like another instrument.
It's emotional,
you know, and it doesn't necessarily have to make sense because no one's going, oh, yeah, right, because you can't hear what he's saying. So you could use that sort of
guess that's true
element to it to sort of hide things.
And then there's the question of, should I be trying to get better at what I already can do, or be trying to diversify and learn new things?
Exactly.
And I think it's important to be trying to learn things all the time, but not get caught up on if I don't get it right away, or if it's not going to happen or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also different environments for, when people are listening to music, what they will care about at the time that they're listening. Yeah. You know, like if you're going to a gig, like I know personally, I'm not going to a gig and like leaning in to like figure out what they're saying because that's what I care. I'm just here to rock out, you know, and dance. So, but you know, if I sit down on my lounge and put the headphones on, I just chill out. Yeah. I probably will be paying more attention to the lyrics because that might be the mood that I'm in, and also like that literal difference here between like a performance and a recording is going to determine how you want to present stuff in that as well, because you could hide lyrics in a recording. Well, not hide, but drown them out in an actual recording so that you understand that when you listen to it, you're taking the focus away from it. But then when you play live, you emphasize it more just for the sake of having something there to be said. Yeah. And a reason for you to be standing behind the microphone, you know? Because if there's one thing that I have noticed in all live performances, not just yourself, but like there is definitely times where I just can't hear what you're saying. Yeah. Like I know what you're saying because it's your music and I've listened to it.
You might be able to like get a bit of the melody. Yeah. So you can, you know, but you're not the diction or like the actual words. You're like. Yeah.
But like Ruben Scott in 3/4 Marathon, I don't think I've heard a single word he's ever said playing live. Like that's just the nature of the music.
He has the best words too.
Yeah. Oh, he's like
that's
a good example.
If you can actually like live next time, try and listen to what he's saying.
Well, I listen to all the recorded stuff and I can hear it fine.
Beautiful.
But when it's being performed, I'm just like, fuck yeah, Ruben.
What's the energy in that live?
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit, yeah. That's a huge selling point for those guys. It's just the performance. It's just amazing.
Yeah. It can get pretty wild. And that's sick. Last show we did at Dive. Crazy people on getting up, like the microphone stand hit Ruben in the face like
no shit
3 times.
True. People like leaning forward and saying, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's brutal. That's mean
it's all part
sick,
of it, like that's kind of made it sicker.
Yeah, hard out. And like you'll bring that element out of a lot of lads that go to that thing. Like
that's
they
kind
just
of
love
it's
to
kind
throw
of what
themselves
it was.
around, you know.
As long as they're being like mindful of everyone else in the space.
Exactly. Which not are, but
but if you are, feel free to
hard out.
Move your body however you want.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing that they are doing, or like a demographic they are reaching with that band.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that just the energy that genre of music brings.
I had never been in that situation. Like it's cool for me to be in that, playing live in that band, to play for different kind of people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like in a different kind of sonics.
Yeah.
Different people appreciating it. And it's,
I've had to rock out sometimes.
It was kind of, one time you told me when I was playing with them that you're like, geez, you were on one, because I was probably like really drunk and like
it was sick.
I think that the time that you were talking about that, I'd like fallen off the riser at Dive a little bit, and like rolled my ankle a wee bit because I was like just trying to get into it real hard.
Well, that's what it does, right? That's what that music does to you. You start banging your head, and you're like,
don't really have a choice. It kind of just like
that's sick. Yeah, well, and in that scenario for you, like there's such a difference between like you being right at the front, like Mike's there, hello everyone, here's my song, and then being like in the background, like off in the dark,
rocking out,
you know, that's a completely different atmosphere. So that's why I think I'd made that sort of realization, being like, damn, like, not that you're not into it when you're playing your own stuff,
Yeah.
but just like when it's sort of the attention's off you,
Yeah.
and you can really like go
Get into a
crazy with it.
different
It's like,
situation,
wow,
yeah.
like that was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I feel like when you definitely can go off into like a solo, and you can definitely fucking play the guitar like no one else that I've heard, but you really like could. It's more of a like fuck it attitude with
Yeah.
3/4 marathon,
Yeah.
because like you're not the leading guitarist, you're just there to like play along, and there's sort of a bit more flexibility. Do you
There's
feel
actually
that's
way more to think about
true?
in that situation. It's
Okay.
one thing I've learned.
Because you're playing someone
I
else's
think I
music.
showed up to like the first band practice, and I was like, "Gee, but these chords exist."
Oh, really?
'Cause, like,
Quite
I'm-
complex.
Bit more of like a play what I think feels right, not like actually know what I'm playing.
Right.
Because I kind of ditched guitar lessons pretty quickly when I was younger, and then going and learning those songs, the chords and what's happening, and even just like the pace of what you're playing is completely different. And I don't know, it's been really good to strengthen my fingers in a way and like
Right.
play something a little bit different. But
So it's not like with the guitar, like you're still obviously playing within a key, right? And in any circumstance, you're still
you
in a
kind
key.
of know where you are.
So for the most part, you can sort of just, as long as you go, right, it's an E. And you
Yeah.
can-
But with my stuff, it's kind of simple enough for you to do something in the key that would be complementary, but in 3/4, it's probably more purposeful that you're doing something
Right.
that you get like you need to be doing.
Okay.
Like when I would playing Jack Berry, I would do a wacky solo. It can be completely different every time because it doesn't really matter because it's just fitting into the overall
Right.
thing that's coming out. But on the other hand, in 3/4, it's you're playing something for a reason,
Yeah.
and it like
Well, there's a lot of dynamics in that music too, a lot of stop
dynamics.
starty.
That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. That's true. That is, yeah, okay, interesting. Because I've always
My
thought that
stuff's
it
kind of
was,
simple.
yeah. Because I was talking to Felix when he like started playing with you. I was like, did you have to be really like precise about what you were playing, or did
No,
you just
not-
know what key
yeah.
and just go crazy? And
That's
that was
kind of
sort
what I've told
a
him
bit
too.
of- Yeah,
Like I'd hate for me to tell a guitarist like Felix what to do.
yeah, hard out.
I just want him to do what he feels right
So,
with the fundamental that I've given him,
Yeah,
because I know that it's going to be awesome
yeah,
when he does it.
well, that's it, right? You're sort of relying on the artist to come through
100%.
as opposed to just
I
someone
want-
that's going to play in
Yeah.
this chord or key.
I
Yeah,
want what he thinks,
that's sick. Yeah,
because what he thinks is crazy.
yeah, it's a good guy to have on board.
100%.
The Jack Berry boys have switched around quite a bit.
A little bit,
hard to
yeah.
keep that up, but you keep it alive.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of reaffirms it being me writing songs and trying to play them live.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I just have to figure out how to play them live.
Yeah,
And I am really thankful that I can get people that want to play my music live with
Definitely.
me in these
Yeah.
situations. But yeah, when we played in Wellington recently, I really wanted it to be great, and we'd practice like 12 times, and that was crazy because I don't usually practice either.
yeah, right,
Because I don't really like practicing. It kind of makes me feel awkward telling people what to do.
right.
But I'd gotten over that. Practice heaps. Sound check was a little bit, got up there. One of the best favourite shows I've
That's shit.
played with half a new band.
Hard out.
Fantastic.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's great when things just fall into place.
It just fell into place randomly and got up there. Played new songs too.
Yeah.
Haven't done that in
Sick.
years.
Fuck. With a new band too, that's,
It was it could have gone, could
Yeah.
have gone downhill. But
I think you've definitely like, to have known like these guys
lucky.
even before like they were in the brand, I think it's
Yeah.
definitely like lucky. Like there's definitely a pretty talented group of people that are hanging around the garbage area,
100%,
and through,
yeah.
which is sick. So to be able to just sort of pluck these people
Yeah. And
is
then,
pretty sweet.
And having their availability is awesome too, because I think it's hopefully getting more towards a position where it could be like will be more of a part-time job for someone.
Mm,
You know?
mm, definitely.
They're not like, oh, I don't know if I can really commit to this because I need to like figure out how to live.
Yeah, right.
So I want to be able to like pay people, keep people around, and like because they're doing something so nice for me. And not that I want it to be a job, I want it to be fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just reality. It's just
Yeah,
like a
I
job.
doubt.
So
So where do you think that sort of premise sits with what you can achieve in Dunedin? Like, how often would you really have to be performing or doing sort of anything
It's
monetary?
kind of the quote bigger shows. So the show in Wellington wasn't a me show. I was doing it with a promoter, and we were playing with a couple other bands. So being able to do that and get on those kind of shows is really great because you don't necessarily have to worry about attendance because there's so many parties at play that are helping that situation.
Right.
So getting the opportunity to do more of those, they can be more sparse, and the money hopefully would be a little bit more than it would be if I was doing my own thing.
Right.
But then strengthening my own thing is important too, because I want to be able to put on a show and people come along and not rely on other factors for making that happen. But I think just being able to get more show, like the show coming up in Auckland is with a promoter as well. So I've got someone helping me out with the promotion of it, which hopefully leads to more people hearing that it's on and wanting to come along.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. But yeah, being able to do my own tour and sell tickets isn't something that I want to
hard out.
get going.
Yeah, it's tricky.
So you need to do both
Yeah, definitely.
in a way.
Yeah.
You need to get in, and that's just like a freaking maybe a connection thing too. I don't know. Like if you've gone and played somewhere once, then you might get booked for something that is not your own show, but is someone else's. Because there's so many promoters out there too at the moment, like Auckland and Wellington. There's heaps of people getting into that side of the industry, which is awesome because it provides more opportunities for musicians to play in front of people. So getting into that circle of things is awesome for getting more gigs, and then doing your own gigs as well at the same time is also important. Like when you think of Haim's stuff, he can get along large amounts of people by himself without needing to have a promoter involved or whatever, which is like obviously the goal for any musician.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is to have a crowd of people that genuinely just want to come along.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's quite the gift, really.
It's awesome.
Pretty cool position to be in, to be able to just post a story, hey, I'm going to be here, and people are like, whoa, what's Mustang?
Yeah.
Because it's fucked how many people are talking about him, you know.
Yeah, he's done.
Everyone fucking knows who he is now.
He's done a great job
It's
of
crazy.
getting his name out there and doing that stuff. But then it's kind of like you have to figure out getting back and making music and stuff as well, because you can
That's the most important part.
you can just keep playing. But I did that for years. I just kept playing the same stuff. It gets boring.
Yeah.
And like you start to think that people only want one thing. And if you introduce a new song, it might be like, play the other song.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. It's kind of, in a way, doing a lot of shows and getting your name out there is good, but you have to be on top of refreshing yourself quite often to progress.
Do you find it hard to really promote your music for what it is?
Yeah.
Like, do you think people like generally
I think
understand like what it is about?
Nah,
music
not
they
really.
like?
I think people have in the past liked coming to just the show.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of it. Like the band.
Yeah.
Tana's crazy bass playing.
Yeah.
Beautiful harmonies.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then and you'd get a few comments like, oh, I love watching you live, and I've watched your live session.
Yeah,
it's like, well, go fucking listen to my music that I recorded in my room for hours.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just about getting the recorded side up to it to a certain like quality as well. But that's like a personal thing. Like I want to learn how to produce and mix music really well.
Yeah.
So I don't care how long it takes, and I'm lucky that people like it live. So like the song I put out recently, might not be the best mix, might not be the best whatever, but I did it, and I can only get better at it, and it's healthy to put something out so I can move on to the next thing.
Definitely.
And get a little bit better. So
I think it's so important just to even just to sort of show that you're just working on something,
It's like
or that you've
progression.
done something.
Well,
you know?
not everyone's going to think that too, though.
Yeah.
People just want like a hot song to
Yeah,
listen to.
exactly.
But like there might be
Exactly.
some people that are like, oh, wow, your snares are sounding pretty good there, man. You can
know.
a little bit better.
Yeah, man.
And that's all that I want to hear.
Yeah. And that'll be most people that are in your circle anyway. The
Yeah.
people that are actually listening to the music
Yeah.
for that reason,
Yeah.
you know, rather than just going, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll just,
But
this
then-
is in my playlist.
Back to that beat that I've been struggling with, I think that could be a song that people might actually want to put in their playlist and listen to. So that's why I'm kind of like intentionally trying to get it over the line, to get it out there, because it's like a pop song.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely what I want to be doing all the time, but it's when you get something that you reckon, it's just like having something that when people press next on the playlist, they're like, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm in the mood, you know. It's like they want to be like, earworm or something.
Yeah,
just catchy that you want to keep it on.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do that as well. So yeah, it's a tricky one trying to.
You definitely see the producer side to you, you know, you definitely tell that you want like a broad range of things, because that's what's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
At the end of it all, is just
Yeah.
being able to be diverse and to be able to add different elements to different things at different times, you know, rather than just focusing on this one.
Like
thing
learning
you've
new
got.
songs with the band recently, I'd be like to Theo or whoever, like, this song's a little bit different to every other song in the set.
Yeah, right.
But then they'd be like, but it still feels kind of like it should be there in a weird way. And from my perspective, it's completely different.
Yeah, right.
But it's not actually that different because, I don't know, back to my voice sounding the way it does, as soon as I start to sing over top of it, people are like, oh, that's that guy, you know?
Like, I don't know. I think it's cool. Like, I think your voice is unique enough that it is sort of standoutish and doesn't really need to be more than it is. And you also probably can't really make it more than it is, you know? Like, your voice is your voice.
That is what it is.
Can you really do to change that, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely like, if people can identify it, like I think if any part of you is recognizable, that's going to be positive and what's going to separate you and excel you, because there's so much music. Like these days, it's just so oversaturated, and you just get so many like sub genres and like sort of lower tier artists that are trying to do the same thing as someone else, and they are just skippable tracks and artists because it's like, what are you actually doing?
Well, how big is the
differently
rock
here?
trap thing in the moment?
Yeah.
Man, rest in peace, Lil Peep.
I know,
Everyone's just taking it and running.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Can't believe it. But then it's like, it's the younger generation that were probably like listening to it.
Yeah, I doubt.
And they were getting excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, Lil Peep, man.
Lil Peep.
Alright, these are excellent.
Yeah.
How enough time?
Probably got about 20 minutes.
Alright,
Yeah. But I have been trying to keep up with what's new and coming out from the superstars on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, well, tell me about it, man, because I don't.
Yeah.
I've really just like, I always thought I would like, you know, trap and hip hop music, and now I'm like, wow. It's funny how when a genre does become like popular, you really just start to go.
The one thing that bugs me out is you'll like hit one video and then a related video will be like one day ago, and then a related video will be like one day ago, and it's like there's so much coming out constantly.
Yeah, it's fucked.
There's a new song every 10 minutes
And
or
just
whatever.
like
you know?
how many people, how accessible it is
Yeah.
to
You
be
wanna-
a musician.
You want to create something with longevity too, that people want to come back to.
Yeah, definitely.
And
It's hard to pick like a standout. Like I can't remember the last Travis Scott that I, you know, when Days Before Radio came out, I was like,
masterpiece.
this is a standout. Like this is someone doing something really different than everyone else, and that was like, holy fuck. Granted, that was in like a time where that kind of music wasn't as popular as it is now.
Yeah.
Wasn't really in the spectrum of sort of pop music at all.
Yeah.
So that was sort of easy to pick out that person. But now it's like all these dudes are like the same, you know?
Yeah, it's all pretty similar.
Yeah, and it's just like pop music, right? Like there's a sort of a tier of what defines this music to be popular.
Yeah.
Whether it's the beat or the melody or the flow or the voice or the whatever it is, like it's all just sort of coming together.
Like recently.
How do you become like a alternative pop trap artist now? Like, what do you what
You're
does it
only
take,
alternative for however long before it breaks
That's true.
into the mainstream.
Yeah.
And that is out of your control. It just happens without you even. And it's kind of what you want at the same time too, because you want your music to be heard by as many people. It's just a weird pattern.
It is strange, because you want to, like, once the ball starts rolling, you probably before just doesn't matter if it doesn't get popular. Like, people just want to get paid for the music, or they just want to be heard, and it starts out as something that
It's great to hold on to a bit of that though. I think, because that's what keeps you grounded.
Yeah. I guess my point is, like, once you start becoming successful, you're just going to ride that, right? If you make it to the top, regardless of whether you sit in the musical status, like, your life's pretty sorted. Like, if you become like that celebrity status, well renowned in like the community of music or whatever genre, like, you can get paid heaps of money for what you do. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
And then it's just like people want more and more. And it's like, I think it's important to like get to where you want to get and actually notice that and be happy with that, rather than just trying to get more and more, because that's when it
for sure
you probably start doing things that aren't natural, or
and
like, isn't it just you just want to get money
and
like have enough money to like have time? Isn't that like the goal?
Well, that's a good way to put it, because it can sound really negative when you just say, like, I just want to be rich and famous, because you do want to earn money, and everyone's somewhat going to want that lifestyle to a point, to be able to have the freedom to be able to just live life comfortably. But if you're doing that to get successful and get the money to have the time to do more, then you sort of show your authentic side to your art, in that way, because you're doing it for the reason to keep doing it, not for the reason to just get to a point where you're comfortable, And I feel like that's a lot of what people are doing in the music industry now that it's so accessible. Is that this is just a way to make money. And it's so easy for me to just get stuff out there now. And then you can apply that to tons of other things. Like, people get paid for like streaming themselves playing games these days. Like, us millennials and Gen Z are just looking for ways to get themselves paid without
Revenue
having
streams
a job.
are outrageous.
It's fucked. It's so crazy. And I still just wonder where all that money comes from. But like, I feel like music,
the advertisement wheel or something, like co-signing.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, obviously there's logistics to it, but I think just generally, like, music has become sort of a commodity where you can just use it for that. You can just use it as a money-making tool in a way.
It started as that too, when you think about it. Like, I was watching this Elvis doco the other day that came out on Netflix, and like, when music started, it was so controlled by publishers, management, and labels, and the artist was an entertainer, not an artist.
Right.
And I guess that's the way it has been in certain forever up until now. It's still been like that, but at the start it was really, really controlled, and for you to break out of that was somewhat impossible.
Right.
So it is the music business. So there is always that commodity over, it's a product.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like, wow, this is cool, this is amazing art. Yeah. It's like, is this selling? But probably with the internet and that kind of free promotion of yourself has allowed more artists to not get caught up in getting controlled. Yeah, right. In a way, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I just feel it's always been a business. It's like the movie business or whatever. Definitely. There's so many other people involved. Some of them are so necessary, and some of them aren't in this whole musical situation and entertainment situation.
Do you think the freedom of like the internet and sort of the independent side of creativity is sort of just building blocks to get to
that's inevitable that you're probably,
or is it going to overtake things,
I feel like if you're doing well and it's building, then it's just inevitably going to get in front of people that are going to come and talk to you about something that they think is going to sway you their way.
I feel like everyone's just sort of, rather than just being like the pick of what's in the real world. It's now just what's in the pick of the social world. It's not necessarily like you can just jump on and become popular and be like, because there'd be people with tens of thousands of followers that still aren't really picked up by anyone. They're just they're still doing their own shit.
I think that's the best way to be.
There's more attentiveness to more awareness of that person to someone like a label that's gonna
it's the ability to be able to say no too and keep your best interests at heart. I think that's what like helps. And you might not be revered in the way that you should be as an artist, but you still have the ability to do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is probably the most important thing.
And there's still a huge like audience of that will only listen to music when it's sort of thrown in their face. You know,
heaps of people.
Like there's definitely like people that go out of their way to look for music, or like know artists or appreciate artists because they are underground and not well known. But there's still people that will only listen to what's on the new releases and the popular charts, which is only really going to be put there by labels. So if you want that,
there
you're
is
sort
the
of
market
going to
there,
have
and
to
it'll
look for
always
that too.
be there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a weird that the internet thing aspect to success is getting crazy. Like, to think about what it's going to be like in the next 5 to 10 years plus.
All of that business side of it have finally caught on. You know, like everyone's on the same page now. Like 2010 to 2015 or whatever, it was like the artists that knew how to use the tool. And I feel more it's probably like for the other 5 years up until now, or 6 years, the labels have slowly figured out how to, like, they've got an intern that knows how to use TikTok, you know, and they've like figured out how to do it that way as well. Use the internet the way that like a person back when it was just starting would have used it.
And TikTok and like Reels on Instagram has been one of the biggest, like, how do I even put this? Like, in terms of what is being put in front of the youth, that is like one of the, because like you can literally get caught in just a thread of these things. Like it's not like it's just there and you still go find it within the app or the platform or whatever. Once you click on one, it's just a constant like. Once you just get the next video, you're just in it. Like you don't even choose what's coming up next. It's just there in front of you, and that's probably why that platform like TikTok and that is becoming, like you say, like people are looking for people that are in that so they can promote things through that, because that's what whether we like it or not, a lot of us are just consuming that content. Yeah.
I don't know if it's the age that I'm at, but that's like pretty much the first app that I haven't used in my life.
Same here.
I've done Tumblr, I've done Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, yada yada. I actually haven't touched that one, and I'm not like feel like I'm missing out or anything.
I think
but it must be amazing for people, for the young kids. Like my little brother's like, he's like, let's get your song on TikTok.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about TikTok, as much as I somewhat despise the media, it is a good way to actually get like how do I even explain this? Like, sort of get yourself into social media again.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're actually able to sort of address some more of a personality depending on the content that you're doing. Because like, it's like,
it's essentially Vine though, isn't it?
Yeah. I never got.
But was there
those.
more humor? I don't even know.
Vine was limited because you could only have 7 seconds of content. So it was the short, quick, like it was sort of the intro to like those short, quick meme style funny
Kane
videos.
Was crazy on Vine, like a couple of thou. Like,
really? No shit. That's so funny. How did I not know that?
Because he's humble.
Fuck, that boy. Jeez.
He was popping off though.
Yeah. Well, fuck. I mean, like it's. I guess when those new apps come out, you sort of want to be on them super quick so that you're one of the like immediate people to start looking into and following and that. So I guess Vine was that first intro to those quick
Instagram was
edits.
crazy for me,
Yeah.
when it came out. I was like,
there was definitely a turning point.
Take a selfie.
Yeah, hard out. I remember Instagram, like when it first started, I didn't think much of it. So I'm pretty sure I had Instagram in high school.
Chucking sepia tones on everything.
Yeah. Those fucking like old school like film photo frames and shit. And that wasn't really anything then, but there was definitely a point where it just completely changed. And the more updated and the more, like, when stories came, I think that's where we really
Well,
just
they
got
took that off
sucked into.
Snapchat too.
They took it off.
They took that idea from Snapchat.
Yeah, they did too.
Which was like, no one, like, it was such a blatant, like, oh, let's do stories.
Yeah.
And just like cut Snapchat's like
hard out.
market
But then so
in
did
half.
Facebook. But I guess
Yeah,
they're
but
the
who
same.
uses Facebook stories?
No. I don't. But Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same people.
Same people,
So
yeah.
I guess it would make sense
Just
they would
integrated,
share
really.
stories.
You can put a story up and go to your Facebook one too if you want on
For
Instagram.
God's sake.
Yeah.
It just
Content.
At that point, it's like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
why do we need to? You know, I just hate when I'm on Instagram and I see a story. I'm like, yeah, sweet, consumed, and then go back to Facebook, and it's the same story pops up again from the same
Yeah.
person. It's like, okay, why did I
Yeah.
need to see that twice?
Well, I've got like all notifications off from Facebook.
yeah, right.
So I only go on there and it's like, oh, pleasant surprise. Someone's invited you to a gig, you know, or like
Yeah.
there's a notification there to look at.
Events,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much it.
But other
Yeah,
than
similar.
that, I'm not like in the Facebook wheel.
I think Instagram has definitely taken what was good about Facebook and
Yeah.
just made it better.
Well, you know, you got there's a social DM aspect to it.
Any time that you're posting your own content is going to I think be a successful social media outlet, because if
Yeah.
you look at like Tumblr,
Yeah.
it had its rise, but it had its fall because it's all just aesthetics,
Repost.
and you can
Yeah.
you're posting other people's stuff. So essentially, what you are like, there's no sort of there's personality to it.
Curation.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not
Mood board.
super
You been on
individuality.
Pinterest?
I haven't fully got into it. No, like
Amazing.
I've ended up on a page of
Yeah, yeah.
something if I've gone to look up
It's kinda
photos
like
of a certain
Tumblr.
thing. Yeah.
You know, you can like make
Make a
boards
mood board and shit.
that like
yeah.
aesthetically
Which
please
is
you.
sick. But I think the concept of that just became way too individual.
Yeah.
Because like I look at my Tumblr now, and the only reason I would ever reblog something now is for myself.
Yeah,
Just so I can look at
yeah.
my page and be like, yeah, sweet.
Yeah,
Because who the
looks-
fuck is looking at
looks
my
great.
Tumblr now?
Yeah.
Like no one cares.
But you could have the songs play when people went onto your Tumblr.
Yeah, I doubt.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Oh, well,
This is
okay.
another way to like, hey, I know this. though.
Yeah, I doubt. I'm just trying to sort of like break down what it is about Instagram that it is why it is sort of like the number one
Yeah.
app now. Because I think like when it comes down to it, we just want to see what the people that we like are up to. You know, we don't care about the photo that they posted, as cool as it might look, or reblogs, like in the sense of Tumblr. But we just want to see people. Like
Yeah,
you look at all the popular Instagram pages, apart from like, I guess if we're talking like influencers, those people are just popular because they post pictures of themselves, and people just want to see those people.
Yeah.
You know, people just want to see like good-looking people, or people that dress the way that they want, or
Yeah.
go to the places that they want to go. At the end
like
of the
a
day, that's all.
Contest.
Yeah, it
in a
is.
way.
It is.
It's just kind
literally. And I think that's how we got to like this influencer level of people that
Yeah.
are posting shit, because it's like people just want to be the biggest
Imagine what
non-doer
it would be like
person
being
in LA.
young though, and like, because when I was growing up, there weren't people that were famous on social media.
Yeah.
Now there are so many people that are.
It's fucking weird.
That's a norm.
Yeah.
You know, for a younger person.
Yeah.
And they're probably like, I need to do this. Like,
Well, again, it's just like it's another money making thing now.
yeah.
You can just be an influencer.
Yeah.
You can just have a shitload of people that follow you, and some company
Show
will
them
pay
stuff.
you to like use their product.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is post
Your
a picture with
audience.
you. That's fucked.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I kind of tried to enforce a little rule on myself that when I'd post, it would be something that I'd either like designed or spent time making to post, rather than it just be like photo
yeah,
of my
exactly.
face or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't put up too many stories or anything.
No.
I just kind of repost anything that I've had something to do with, and that might be boring to people, but like it's just me staying in my lane.
Exactly. And I think real ones will realize,
Yeah.
you know, you're posting when it's time to post,
Yeah.
not just for the sake of posting,
Yeah.
you know.
Because
Which
that's
is
where
cool.
it gets blurred. It's like, are
Yeah.
people following you for you or what you do?
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea. Right? I have no idea who I'm posting for.
Yeah.
Or what I'm posting, what I want to even have there. Do I want it to be just a business page for me and my work, or do I want it to be like this cool alternative Instagram
Yeah.
guy? You know,
I feel like you just want it to be the best representation of you. That's kind of what I've realized. Like, I'd love my music quote account to just kind of sum up everything that I do.
Cut out.
And like, rather than it be like, I'm a musician,
Yeah.
follow me.
Yeah.
Because it kind of puts more scary importance on the music that I'm making. Like, it has to be great if I'm going on about it.
Yeah.
But if I'm involved in other things that aren't directly for myself, but I've done something for, then I should have every right to like put that out there on my music account or whatever.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. You in your case, you do have that sort of, you know, you are a musician.
Yeah.
You have a band. You are performing. Like people that are coming to your page are coming to you for this thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like me and Joe Blogs, like we'll just be posting. Like I can still just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping me from posting
There's
just
no
a random photo of
great.
myself or anything, which is cool.
That's what the way it should be. Yeah.
But then like, I still don't know if what's on my Instagram is a representation of myself, you know, because you can still post anything.
You put it there, so it must be.
Yeah,
Got to look.
true.
Simplify it.
It's true, but you can still post photos. Oh, well, yeah, that's
you
a
know,
good point.
just
that's a good point.
put it right down to the basics
Yeah.
because you can just get so many different versions of it, and it can drive you crazy.
Yeah,
Now you uploaded it, so it's a representation of
but
yourself.
it's still like it's still an aesthetic thing. You can totally put on an
but you
aesthetic
like
for
that.
yourself.
You like that aesthetic. What's wrong with that? You know about it. You've done it. You've gotten there, and you're putting it out there.
Yeah. Okay.
The next person has a different aesthetic, and they put it out there, and they like it.
But then where do you draw the line between like original inspiration and just copying like another style of?
Well, it's kind
Or
of it's
aesthetic,
hard to
you know?
tell unless if you don't know the style that's been copied.
Mm.
But I think it's pretty obvious. You can tell when someone's
suppose so.
posted. You know, and you're like, oh well. Yeah.
That's true.
You know, it's kind of more obvious than it seems
Yeah.
when someone's done something that's repeated quite often.
Yeah. That's true. I sometimes just look at my own Instagram page. I'm like, what
Get
am I
off.
doing?
Don't look at it. Post and walk away.
I
get
wish I
stuck
could
on
do that, man. Like we're hooked on it. I'm hooked on my phone. Like I'll admit it. Like I'm addicted to my phone.
Yeah, we all are.
Just constantly looking at everything. Like I can't post. Like if I post a photo, I'll be back there in 5 minutes just to check who likes it.
I don't do that. I leave my phone somewhere else
Like, just
for
go
however
sit
many
and look at it.
hours. And then
I like the leave it for a long time and then get more notifications at the time you
Yeah.
look, but that's just sounds unhealthy in itself.
Psychotic
You know,
too.
that's fucking weird. It's like how many people today? You know, it's not good. But I don't know. That's what I think all of us want deep down. It's just some attention, and it's nice to be able to get that without
that
having
kind of
social interaction.
comes full circle going back to we just need to say hi and how you doing to people.
Exactly.
And then we
You
won't
do,
be
because
so caught up on how many numerics are on your Instagram.
Exactly. And you'll be surprised, I think, when you do start to just talk to people. And
Yeah.
Because there's so many times, like, you would have heard it firsthand from me being like, fuck, I just had a sick chat with so-and-so. I was probably on the piss at the time, but like, it was still like, I just had a conversation and I loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we talk about like being anxious about talking to the next person that we see, you know, but yeah, cool. All right. Should we call that a wrap?
Yep.
Thanks for coming, Damin.
No
This
problem.
is good. Thanks for getting me back in my podcast rhythm.
Season.
Yeah, it's sick. Podcast season for
Let's
sure.
go.
Yeah, we're trying to switch it up, keep it fun and lively, and that was good. It's nice we humble chat.
If you ever want like a reoccurring monthly guest for
Hut
some
out.
hot takes.
Hut out. Yeah,
I don't know if I've
actually-
gotten there, but
Yeah, no, well,
I'd be
fuck.
keen.
I think that's
we
one
get like a
thing
bit of
that
like a smokers table going or something.
Yeah.
With some legends.
sold. You've sold it to me, mate. That sounds lovely. Cool. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Catch you
See
later.
yous later.
Ciao.
Home Audio Entertainment.
9016 Radio.
The show for artists of all kinds.
Sit down and relax. Enjoy the music.